Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the DELCO Cross Country Podcast. With you as always, this is Kevin Key, and I am here with a special guest in a special guest episode, being that it's DELCO Championships only a few days away. With me is one of the greatest coaches of all time in Delaware County. Well, at least that's my opinion and the opinion of a lot of guys who ran under him. With me today is the former Cardinal O'Hara coach, somewhat current Pencrest coach,
assistant coach at Pencrest for indoor and outdoor track.
So this is needs no introduction. He was on the podcast last year around the same time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tom Kennedy, thank you for joining me, Kay. As many of you know him as Coach K. I will not be calling him Tom this entire podcast. It will be K this entire podcast because that's how I know him.
Kevin, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited about DELCOs.
So we have a lot going on. DELCOs is this year for the first time on a Saturday. Or not on a Saturday, sorry, in September. It's a Saturday in September. Made one mistake already, DELCO fans. And I'm not as tired today as I was the other night when recording. This is the first time it is in September, and that is due to the Paul Short Invitational happening next week. Let's go into our likes and dislikes of having a championship meet in September. What are some likes? What are some dislikes? For your personal sake as a former cross-country coach, what would be your thinking with a championship meet this early in the season?
So I would hate having DELCOs this early and on a September date. DELCOs traditionally has always been in October, sometimes the first weekend, sometimes the second weekend. So I think that's tough. That's tough on the coaches. It's tough on the kids. But with this group of kids we have on the girls' side and the guys' side, I bet they're going to make it worth our while.
Yeah, and there's definitely some great performances all around. As I mentioned on this podcast before, it's very hard to plan out a season with, as a head coach specifically, with a September date of a championship in mind. It kind of changes your process of what you're going to do as a coach. At least on my end, it would have done that. I would have changed the meets I would have went to early on in the season. I probably would have went to like a Unionville 2-mile bash like some of these coaches already did, just to get more races under the athletes' legs. Now that we're in September, what would you have done in this situation?
Well, I do see a lot of the teams steering away from a lot of like a glut of big meets, and I think that might be a little bit of a reaction to the fact they know that late in the season they're gonna be, it's leagues and then it's districts and then it's states, and that boom, boom, boom can really take a wear and tear on the kids. So we haven't seen a ton of action in Delaware County cross country this fall, and I think the fact that you have DELCOs this early up in September, that might have been a reaction to that.
Yeah, and that alone, not seeing that much action, not seeing that many 5Ks, that puts a kind of a damper on like a meet preview, because you don't really know what people can put into a 5K. You and I, we just had dinner. The name that came right to mind for both of us was Ridley's Jackson Kane. Jackson Kane dominated in his 2-mile races earlier this season, put up a course record run time, hasn't really run a 5K yet this year to his best of his ability. Now he's going to be coming out at DELCO Championships looking to do something special right up top.
So in the Jackson Kane situation, that's a kid who rises to the occasion. So he's going to be a factor on some level in the boys' race, regardless of the path he's taken to get there. He knows what DELCOs is. He's going to be one of the players in a race that is inundated with players.
Yep, and I know a lot of this process was because we have Paul Short next week. There's a lot of those District 1 teams that are within Delaware County alone. What are your thoughts about Paul Short being a week later, with usually running into that DELCO weekend?
So I would have rather had DELCOs take place after Paul Short. I do understand that a majority of the teams in Delaware County are District 1 teams. It's really good to get on that course if you're going to run a district championship there. But I would have rather have seen DELCOs go after the Paul Short Invitational or anything like that, like Carlisle.
And like once again, we are very much in agreement. Kind of giving that extra 5K puts a little bit more races under the legs, gives these athletes a chance to really run for something. Speaking about running for something, all DELCO recognition is usually brought in when it comes to DELCO championships. Now, when in years past we have seen that it's been like the top 6 athletes have usually like cemented their spot as a first team all Delco candidate. This didn't happen last year. It's a new regime over at the DELCO Times, specifically in the sports department. I've already gone over this a number of times. Terry Toohey retiring was the reason why I really stepped up and created this podcast. Last year, Lizzie Getz of Marple Newtown, she finished 6th overall, had a great time, finished 10 seconds faster than the person who finished 7th. However, Lizzie was nominated as a second team all Delco and did not get the first team all Delco she deserved. A lot of coaches think that, hey, how about what you run at Delcos, that should push you over the top. But in my perspective, I don't think that's how all Delcos worked over the years. In Catholic League meets and a Catholic League championship, it was always you run at Catholic League championships, you go 1 through 15, your first team all Catholic, you go 16 through 25, your second team all Catholic, you go 26 through 35, your honorable mention or third team all Catholic. That's not how Delco has been. And I know this is going to bring up a lot of questions going in. A lot of people might even say, hey, if you don't run at Delcos, do you deserve an all Delco spot? This definitely would cause some controversy now, specifically that we're in September for DELCO Championships. What are your thoughts here?
So for starters, I think anyone who finds himself in a situation where they're not running at Delcos but is still among the top runners in Delaware County, I don't think that should disqualify them from all Delco status. I think you got to look at the entire season. We can even go back to your senior year across country. A young man named Charlie McNulty from Cardinal O'Hara. He finished 4th at Delcos and was not a first team all Delco selection, and that was and he had a very good season all around. So that one was really hard to swallow as a coach. But kids who are looking to be recognized as first team all Delco, I tell them, once the championship meets start, you got to be first team all Delco all the way through the season. That's really the only way to guarantee it. But I do agree that you should look at the entire season. But also Delcos is something special. It's like the Rose Bowl of Delaware County cross country, and great performances in Delcos, like this young lady from Springfield who finished
Marple Newtown.
From Marple Newtown, who finished 6th last year. You really got to take that into consideration, and I know from talking to you, she had a great season throughout the rest of the year. That would have been hard for me as an evaluator to look away from.
Yeah, and as you've already stated, it's that overall thing. It's how they performed throughout the entire season. Lizzie Getz was someone who performed throughout the entire season last year. In my personal belief, she was robbed last year. She should have been first team all Delco last year. I think there should be a chip on her shoulder going into DELCO Championships. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a chip on the shoulder of Coach Butler going into this weekend. But as you said, this is the Rose Bowl of cross-country meets in Delaware County. And being that this is the Rose Bowl, we have teams that I know that are not competing this weekend at DELCO Championships.
Wow.
From what I broke the other day on the podcast from Sunday night into Monday morning, the breaking news was that the Haverford girls were going to attend DELCO Championships after all season having Carlisle on their schedule. Without Olivia Cieslak, who is visiting colleges. She is on college search right now, being a senior, and deservingly so. A senior deserves to go to these college tours. Sorry, that's an airplane. We are outside, not at Rose Tree Park like you will be this upcoming Saturday. But Cieslak, she's earned the right to visit these schools. She has to work around all of not only her high school schedule, but a college schedule. Best time to do it was this weekend. I don't think it would affect the Haverford girls as much, and we'll get in there later on today. But from what I'm hearing, the girls are racing, but the boys are racing at Carlisle.
Wow.
And that is, from my understanding, I don't know that as fact. I know that that's been on the schedule. I know that you really do see this as a big meet. We were having a discussion at dinner again about teams in the past that did not compete at DELCO Championships and how we think so highly of this meet, specifically as people who believe in the history of this sport and DELCO Championships bringing the ultimate history of Delco cross country to it. What are your real thoughts on? Because I know it's a Haverford boys who are not attending. Or from my understanding, and I know Upper Darby is not attending. In years past, we've been hit or miss on Sacred Heart attending, Haverford School for Boys attending, the team from Interborough attending. So what are your thoughts about teams missing out on DELCO Championships?
So my position has always been, it's the Delaware County Cross Country Championships. It's a big deal. If you're a high school in Delaware County, you don't miss this meet as a team. You don't take your team to another meet. I don't agree with that move at all. And in particular, if the teams in question are Haverford and Upper Darby, those are two foundational teams of Delaware County. I certainly don't agree with them not making this meet. I know that the Haverford boys are a very solid team, and the meet will be great, but it'll be a little bit less because they're not there. And Upper Darby, one of the foundational schools in Delaware County, I hate not seeing them. I hate seeing that they're not going to be there.
Well, let's dive into this a little bit more. I always thought that the Haverford boys brought a different dynamic to a DELCO championship. I know they won DELCO championships a few years back. It wasn't too long ago. Actually, I think that was about 2 years ago in which they won DELCO championships. I could be wrong. You can fact check me on that. I'll probably fact check myself anyway. But they're definitely a foundational piece going up against top teams in the state in the rankings of Pencrest and Episcopal, who are both in the preseason rankings on mile split. As of this recording of the podcast, the rankings for mile split on the boys' end have not been updated. However, on the girls' end, they did. And my quick fact check 2 years ago, it was Episcopal Academy, not Haverford Township, who won. Haverford was third. So I just fact checked myself on that one, as sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I'm wrong. But they get to go, if they were to compete at DELCO Championships, they would be competing against two of the top teams in the state of Pennsylvania, two highly ranked teams in our state, not only our county, and it was actually 3 years ago in which Haverford won DELCO Championships in 2021. What are your thoughts going into a meet like Carlisle, where you are going to be competing against other teams that are highly ranked in the state, but also now you have DELCO Championships with two of the best teams in the state?
So, yeah, I would a team that's trying to achieve something big at the end of the season. I still see no reason, if they're from Delaware County, why they shouldn't compete in the Delaware County Championships. And the two teams from Delaware County that went to the Nike Cross Nationals, they both competed in the Delaware County Championships, and that's the highest level you can go to. All the teams that finished second or third in state championships over the years, they've all been at the DELCO Championships. So I know Carlisle is a good meet, allegedly, but there's no reason to miss DELCOs. There's no reason to miss DELCOs.
So here's some history from last year. Top 5 teams. Radnor was 5th place with 135 points. Haverford was 4th place at 82 points. Ridley had a great season last year. They were 3rd at 78. Episcopal Academy was 2nd at 75. And the team from Pencrest scored 41 points to win DELCO Championships a year ago. You have your top 20 in this race. You had Logan Eagles from Haverford. You had a graduating Nick Godwick from Ridley. Michael Cavato from Garnet Valley, who was also a senior last year, now graduated. Strathaven's Matt Lund, who's now graduated. Pencrest Caden Solaria, who's also graduated. You have now senior Eli Engelman from Episcopal Academy. Sean Lawson from Haverford Township. Carlo Bianviri from Haverford Township. 12th place last year was now junior Curtis Connor from Episcopal Academy. 11th last year was graduating senior Brendan Heffernan. You have a lot of history with that last name. 10th last year was Ethan Zhao, who is with Episcopal Academy as a senior now. Graduating Ricky Lee was 9th place from Marple Newtown. 8th was Nick Fonte from Pencrest, who's now a senior. 7th was Teddy Foster, who was a sophomore then. He's now a junior at Haverford Township. 6th place last year was a graduating Dawson French. 5th place was Jackson Kane, that name we mentioned earlier. He is now a senior at Ridley. 4th place last year was Eddie Mulligetta from Pencrest. He is now a senior. You also had 3rd place senior Joey Lancey from Ridley. 2nd place was now sophomore Rowan Carr from Pencrest. And your state champion, or sorry, your DELCO champion last year from Pencrest. Oops, I'm sorry, that was a retract from DELCO Times last year. From Radnor, that would be Luke Bodden. And if you don't get that joke right there, go on DELCO Times, look up last year's all DELCO candidates, all DELCO winners. It will come up as Luke Bodden of Pencrest shared it with Olivia Cieslak of Haverford. So that was your top 20 last year. This year, it's going to look a little bit different. You had a lot of graduating seniors who are now out. You have a lot of different placements. Right now, number one ranked athlete overall is a Rowan Carr from Pencrest, 15:51 performance at a fast Pencrest Invitational. That is a fast course. You also have number 2 right now as Eddie Mulligetta, who also went 15:53 on that fast course of Pencrest. If you combine team scores based off of just this year's personal best times, you're looking at Episcopal Academy, who is ranked number 1. They are the favorite to win, with Pencrest ranked number 2. And I know a lot of you are like, hey, how is Episcopal favored to win over a Pencrest team that's going to finish 1st and 2nd? And I know a lot of you are like questioning that, because this sport is not just about your top athletes, it's about your entire team. It's about all 5, sometimes 6, as you know personally, sometimes 7. That all of the runners in this race are very important. Right now, with your top returning times, you're looking at, like I said, Carr and Mulligetta. Garzio from Radnor is ranked 3rd right now after an impressive performance at Solderton Twilight, running 16:13. And then here comes the pack of Episcopal. And the pack from Episcopal, from 1 to 5, has 50 seconds between them. And truly a great team effort, team pack running, starting with Eli Engelman to Curtis Connor to John Ricketts as their 1, 2, 3. Don't forget Ethan Zhao, who I've already mentioned, who's ranked 9th right now. And these times are not like easy courses they ran on. Some of these times that they've run are from Belmont Plateau, which is one of the toughest courses in this area, even in the state of Pennsylvania, even in the nation, is definitely one of the most historic, toughest courses. Episcopal right now would be ranked number 1 going in. What are your thoughts individually? Who do you think is going to pull this one out? Team-wise, who do you think could pull this one out?
So in the individual race, what I see happening is inside of the first mile, you're going to have a pack develop between Carr, Mulligetta, Engelman, and Connor, and Jackson Kane. And could there be other people in there early on? Yes, yeah, there could. But right now, those are the guys that I'm looking at. I think by the time you get to 2 mile, you're still going to have the two Pencrest, the 2 Episcopals, and Jackson Kane from Ridley are all going to be in the race, and it's going to be what happens over that last mile. If you want me to make a prediction, you want me to make a prediction?
You can make your prediction of an individual winner.
So I think one of the 2 Pencrest kids is going to pull out the win, either Mulligetta or Carr. They're both good. They both train together. They've both taken the measure of each other in different races throughout their careers. I don't know how many people know this. Carr split 4:16 for a true mile last year at Outdoor Nationals in the 4x mile as a freshman. That's pretty good. Carr is tough. Jackson Kane is tough. Mulligetta is tough. Engelman and Connor are tough. And it's really going to be about who wakes up that morning or who's been thinking about this longer and decided, I am winning that race. But it's going to be very exciting because, in my mind, any of those guys could take that race. I think it's going to be one of the 2 Pencrest guys.
Yeah, and it's hard to go against the two Pencrest guys, but I'm going to right now. I'm going to throw Jackson Kane's name in the mix as your winner of DELCO Championships. Jackson Kane dominated his 2-mile performances. I know they're 2-mile performances. However, I think it was a 9:35 on a Unionville 2-mile course. You can fact check me later, Coach Lancy. He's flying. And I know he hasn't run the 5Ks in the past couple of weeks, but I think it's all built up just for this moment. I think he's building up for DELCOs. I think he's building up for Centrals. I think he's building up for districts. Another name that could potentially be in this race, at least within that top 8 athletes, could be a guy like a Joey Lancy. I think patience is very big when it comes to Joey Lancy. I know he's hit some nicks and bruises up right now, especially early in the season. And if he can go and just be patient and understand that it is actually still a longer season ahead of him with DELCOs in September, I think Lancy could still make a good push, especially within that top 8, and kind of separate this team score. And he could throw a wrench into that team score right away for teams like Pencrest and Episcopal, who would be battling up front.
So I think anybody who loves cross country, and particularly anybody who loves boys cross country in Delaware County, is going to root for Joey Lancy. He's a great kid. He's had a lot of injuries. He's run through them, never stopped running, and he's run through them. So I don't think anybody would be rooting against him having a great race and a great end to his senior season.
So if all things considered, today today's Monday. We're recording this way in advance before DELCO Championships. Give me your top 3 teams in Delaware County right now. You can give it in any order. You can go 3 to 1. In your opinion, who are your top 3 teams going into DELCO Championships?
If it's okay with you, I'll give you how I think they're going to finish.
That's perfectly fine.
At DELCOs. If we are without the Haverford boys, that's disappointing. But even with them in the mix, I would have had them 3rd. I believe that Pencrest High School is going to pull it together, and they are going to win the DELCO Championships. And that I'm saying that with full respect for the Episcopal Academy, the great kids and coaches they have on that team. But this is a course that's run inside the Rose Tree Media School District. I think those kids are going to get it together. Even though right now on paper, Episcopal has a better spread 1 through 5. I think one thing about Pencrest's top 3, so we talked about the other 2, Carr and Mulugeta. Nick Fonte is a super cross-country runner. Sometimes his efforts are overshadowed because of the stars he's running with. I think he's going to have a great DELCOs, and I think Pencrest is going to find some very strong performances from their 4th, 5th, and 6th runners.
And that means I think Pencrest is really going to need that big time out of 4, 5, and 6. As I said, 50 seconds between numbers 1 through 5 for Episcopal. That's a tough pack to beat. Right now they're ranked 4, 5, 7, 9, and 18. And I'm sure, because I'm sure they're listening to this. I know Eli Engelman listens to this podcast. I'm sure I also think Curtis Connors and John Ricketts do. They're going to be looking at Ethan Zhao to really take a step forward to run with John Ricketts. But what they're going to also look at is William Patterson, Caleb Young stepping up into this race. Maybe even Kyle Zhang stepping into this race and trying to work off of Zhao. Or try to work with Zhao, kind of going up towards Zhao and Ricketts' area and potentially look to knock off and look to dominate this race, kind of like Pencrest did a year ago. Pencrest was just a dominant performance at DELCO Championships. I could see Episcopal really having that bulletin board material going into this year, saying, hey, they dominated last year. We're going to show them what our 50-second split can do, our 16:42 average can bring to the table.
And also, you mentioned among many others, you mentioned Eli Engelman. Look, if I am watching DELCOs and Eli Engelman crosses the line first, that's not going to be a huge shock. He's very good, just as all the other top flight runners we listed in that race. And yes, there's a lot of experience on that Episcopal team, and there is some motivation to come back and win. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, it's that number 3 team that kind of throws a wrench into it. If Haverford's not racing, Haverford right now, I still think Haverford could go in and compete against these top 2 teams.
Agreed.
I really do think that they can actually go head-to-head with these teams. What we saw Haverford versus Pencrest head-to-head at the Pencrest Invitational. However, Haverford was running a progression run in that race. I witnessed it firsthand. I saw them slowly take out that first mile and progressively get better as that race went on. If Haverford's in this race, your top 3 can change between Episcopal, can change between Pencrest, can change between Haverford. All 3 of them could potentially win this meet.
Yes.
But without Haverford, it is going to be a meet between Episcopal and Pencrest. And then it's going to be a race for third. And that race for third is going to come down to a team in Radnor, who has Joseph Garzio, who went 16-13 this weekend at the Southern Twilight Invitational.
District 1-800 champ.
153, I believe that time was. He is legit. They also have like a Jack Wibble, an Aiden Landau, a Connor Walsh, and a Brandon Nayoon, who's finishing up in that 52nd area, going about 18:30. In my opinion, my money on third place right now would probably be on a team from Ridley. You have Jackson Kane, who I still think who can win DELCO Championships, in my opinion, as I mentioned. You have an Oma Matheos, who was ranked 24th. Paul Alua, who's ranked 28th, but also ran well this past weekend. A Nick Lancy, who went 17:39. You have a Mason Namoli, and you have the one name that's not even on this list in Joey Lancy, who was also a 16:30 guy, ran 16:35 this past weekend. Another team I could see sneaking into that top 3 teams overall.
These have been good years for Ridley in cross country and track and field, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I kind of look at within that top. I do look at that top 6 when it comes to all DELCO. I'm not a voter on the all DELCO list. They don't go through me. They don't even ask my opinion, which is perfectly fine. If I'm looking within that top 10 right now, you're looking at guys that just popped out of nowhere this year, like a Julian Bothma from Marple Newtown with a 1650 PR so far this year. He could impress. We've talked about the Radnor guys. We talked about the Episcopal guys. Another guy that's impressive is Junior Donnie Cave from Bonner and Prendy. I mentioned his name a few times. He was at the Whippets Invitational this past weekend. Fast course, clearly. He went 16:54. It's another guy I would not be surprised if he's in the top 15, let alone getting a medal of DELCO Championships.
Nice.
So, and then you also have a guy like a Chris Carty who went 16:55 this past weekend down in Cary, North Carolina. So that top 20 can definitely round itself out completely, and it could go to any of these athletes for sure, because the times are just flying in DELCO. I think the biggest thing that's missing right now with a lot of these teams is that 4-5 runner. We've relied a lot heavy on that 1-2-3. It's that 4-5 that's missing. And that is why I put Episcopal over top right now, because they do have that 1-5 spread that's so quick. And you clearly had Pencrest in this one, stepping up within that Rose Tree Media course, which I understand, but I'm still going to go with Episcopal in this one.
I got you. You're allowed to be wrong.
Yeah, I was wrong. How many times already on this podcast? I mean, just a few times I was wrong already on this podcast.
And also, that was a joke. But in all seriousness, that's why we run the race, because it could go a lot of ways. And a lot of cool things could happen individually and team wise. So yeah, it's gonna be great to watch on Saturday.
So you're rounding out your top 3. My top 3 are Ridley at third, Pencrest at second, Episcopal at first. What is your top 3? And that's without Haverford. If Haverford races, it's a whole different thing.
So I like your pick of Ridley at third. Like I said, this has been a really good era for them, and. I think Lancy brings a lot of spark to that team, running through injury and providing a shining example of how to conduct yourself as a cross country runner. So yeah, I like that pick of Ridley for third.
So before we dive deep into the girls' preview, I do want to give Coach Bill Corin his preview.
Well, Coach Bill Korn knows more about DELCO girls cross country and track and field than I'll ever know. So I'm going to listen.
Well, that's great. Some might want to lower your volume at this point. It's not Bill Korn's voice, though, so it might be a good one. All right? So, Coach Bill Korn, DELCO Championships is the 49th year of DELCO Championships. This Saturday, 9/28/2024. The novice race, that's boys and girls, going off at 1. The JV girls going off at 1:45. The JV boys race going off at 2:30. The girls varsity race going off at 3:15. And the boys varsity race going off at 4 o'clock. I am likely arriving right at the girls varsity race time due to my son's soccer game, but I will be at DELCO Championships this weekend. His girls team preview is all Haverford. Even though Olivia Cieslak is on a college visit, the Fords are way better than the rest of the county. They recently finished 4th overall at the PIAA Foundation meet without Cieslak, their number 1, showing they can handle a tough course like Rose Tree. The battle for the runner-up award is between Springfield, Notre Dame, Agnes Irwin, Radnor, and Springfield. Springfield has a solid 7, including their top star in Sophia Curtis, and will likely be the DELCO runner-up. Last year, Haverford won by 70 points, with Springfield finishing 2nd. In 2022, Haverford was 1st, Notre Dame was 2nd, and Springfield was 3rd. In 2021, Haven was 1st, Haverford 2nd, Notre Dame 3rd. In 2019, Haverford defeated Strathaven by 1 point. Notre Dame was 3rd. In 2018, Haven was 1st and Notre Dame was 2nd. Notre Dame appears a lot here, and I believe, and you can fact check me here, Coach Korn, I know you will, Notre Dame has never won a DELCO championship. Springfield girls, I don't believe, has ever won a DELCO championship. And Agnes Irwin has never won a DELCO championship. Those are 3 big names that are all within this race this week. Individual preview, he has the top 20 girls. He mentions they all get plaques. Top 6 finishers will likely be Delaware County's Daily Times first team all DELCO. He said senior Cieslak, Haverford, last year's champ, will obviously be a first team all DELCO as well. The live race on Saturday should be a battle between McGeehan and Kendra Williamson from Episcopal Academy, Cameron McGeehan from Haverford. Cameron was 2nd in 2023, 2nd in 2022. Kendra Williamson was 5th in 2023. These girls all have a chance of finishing in the top 3 spots. That would be Sophia Curtis from Springfield, who was 15th last year, 21st in 2022, and Emma Hyde from Radnor, who was a 12th grader and was 12th in 2023. You have Avery Lustgarden from Garnet Valley. She was 6th in 2022. Cecilia Kane, who is a freshman. Mary Rosano from Notre Dame. She was 8th in 2023, 9th in 2022. Ryan Dankinis from Haverford. She was 23rd in 2023. And he mentions the name Lizzie Getz from Marple Newtown, name I've already mentioned in this podcast. She was 6th last year, should have been first team all DELCO, and 20th in 2022. That was Coach Bill Korn's preview of the girls' DELCO Championships. Now let's get into this, because this is an interesting one. From our break point, Haverford is missing Olivia Cieslak due to a college visit. They are down to the team that they've been running with all year, have been dominant with all year. And I can throw a however in there. I can throw a curveball in there. I can throw a however. The problem is that every single time was run on different courses. And if we do this, if we run based off of times, Agnes Irwin is pulling off an upset victory. And that is the biggest surprise here based off of times. Now, time doesn't show the edge and the fire that Haverford has shown over the past few weeks. Agnes Irwin has not matched up against a team of Haverford's skill level or skill yet this season. They have matched up against good teams. They weren't able to beat those good teams. In a dual meet last week at Interact, Notre Dame actually topped Agnes Irwin. So did Episcopal. So that those Interact 3 teams are really performing. Let's dive into your perspective. First off, who do you think? Obviously, we agree somewhat with Coach Bill Korn's calls.
Sure.
Who do you think is going to be in the running for DELCO champion this year?
So the person I think has the best shot is Cameron McGeehan. She's experienced. She's tough. She's been here before. She's been at in way bigger stages, and I think she knows what this is. So she's my number one. She's my number one pick to win the race. Now, Kendra Williamson. Sorry, Kendra Williamson is a really good runner. She's very tough. Also, she's a little bit younger, and she should not be counted out. But I'm going to go with McGeehan as my pick to win the individual.
So it's funny because it looks like they both have something to run for. McGeehan, once again, dominant. I believe she won DELCOs her freshman year. If there was a DELCOs Championships her freshman year, and I believe there was, and I can fact check myself on this one. McGeehan has the history of being a dominant performer. Continues to run well within her senior year at this point. And in 2021, which would have been her freshman year, she finished third at DELCO Championships, so I was off there. Quick fact check on myself, she was third there. McGeehan, this would be her first ever DELCO individual performance as a champion. She has something to run for. Kendra Williamson wants to prove the doubters wrong, I think, in my opinion. And as a sophomore, she's going to go out there and do it. She stepped on the track at DELCO Championships in track this past year, was flying in the trials, was flying in the finals, even ran a faster time in the mile finals. She went 19:02 on a Belmont course this last week at an Interact meet. I love Cameron McGeehan. She went 19:24 at Foundation. From everything I heard, she's running very strong. Everything I've heard, she's really fought through that race and ran very well. But I'm gonna go with the sophomore on this one. I am gonna choose Kendra Williamson, pulling up a little bit of an upset at DELCO Championships, if you can call it that. They are equal. They're gonna be battling it out the whole time for sure. But I am gonna choose Kendra Williamson on this one. Cameron knows how much I like Cameron McGeehan, but Kendra's just been so tough throughout the year. 18:36 at Abington, 18:33 at Pencrest, 19:02 at an Interact dual meet at Belmont Plateau. She's tough.
Yeah, it's a hard one to call. They're both really good runners, and it's one of the reasons it's going to be great to wake up on Saturday and go down there and check out that race.
If you wake up late in the afternoon like Coach K does.
Absolutely.
So there's other names that you need to mention in this that will be up for the running. Emma Hyde had a great week. She's been running tremendously well for Radnor. Agnes Irwin has found this trio of athletes that continue to pack run with each other. I've mentioned them week in and week out that Sophia Casey, Avery Brennan, and Emma Watson continue to run together. But it's going to be hard to top a team from Haverford Township.
Right. Ranked number 2 in the state right now.
Right. Yes.
PA mile split.
So they were preseason ranked number 2. They are still ranked number 2 even without C-Slack. They put up great performances at that Pencrest race, in which they were also on a progression run without two of their top stars in that one, and they dominated that meet. They beat a strong team from Episcopal without Cameron McGeehan, without Olivia C-Slack in that one. And Ryan Dankinis, Micah Haskins, they have really stepped up big time for this Haverford Township squad. If you look at Dankinis, Haskins, Awad Prue-Frin, Anastasia Harmon, Isabel McDermott, they've still stepped up in some way, shape, or form as a solid top 7 for this crew. And then you just throw a name like Olivia C-Slack in there and they're dominating.
Absolutely.
So a lot of this 1-2-5 for Haverford. Right now they are ranked at about 2 minute and 20 second split between them.
Okay.
And that is Cameron McGeehan down to Prue-Frin. And a name that's not mentioned in there is Anastasia Harmon, who also performed very well at last year's DELCO Championships.
I think you said she was 12th.
I'm going to double check on that one, but she was definitely in the medal contention. Yeah, she was 16th last year. 16th. So if we go over last year, Mackenzie Gillespie was 20th for Haverford. She's graduated. Caitlin Crumlish is now a junior at Pencrest. She was 19th. Kara Sweeney at Notre Dame. She is now a junior. Gwen Cherney from Pencrest. She's now graduated. Anastasia Harmon is now a senior at Haverford Township. Sophia Curtis is now a senior at Springfield. Lorelei Golombuski was 14th. She graduated from Upper Darby. You had Allie Pavone from Marble Newtown. She is now a senior. You had Emma Hyde from Radnor. She is now a senior. Keely Aiken from Pencrest was 11th. She is now graduated. Avery Brennan from Agnes Irwin. She was 10th. She is now a junior. You have Anastasia Milana from Springfield, a senior, who's also having a great season up there with Sophia Curtis. You have Mary Rosano from Notre Dame. She is in 12th grade. She is a senior. She was 8th last year. Micah Haskins, this was her breakout race last year, a year ago. She was 7th at DELCO Championships at 1945. She is a senior. You have Lizzie Getz, who was 6th last year from Marple Newtown at 1936. You had Kendra Williamson, who was a freshman last year, sophomore this year at 1919 for Episcopal Academy. You had Zoe Margolis, who is now a graduated from Radnor. She was a state medalist last year. You had Chloe Brown, who's up at Lehigh for Strathaven right now. She's graduated. You had Cameron McGeehan from Haverford at 2nd at 1811, and Olivia Cieslak at 1st at 1744. And in the team rankings, team results, your top 5 last year were Pencrest at 5, Marple Newtown at 4, Strathaven at 3, Springfield Delco at 2, and Haverford Township with 46 points winning that meet. I think it's going to be a lot closer. I think the Interact teams are actually going to be pushing within that top 5 this year. Personally, myself, I do like the team from Springfield. They don't have many 5Ks under them, which kind of can hurt them a little bit within the rankings. But we've talked about our top athletes, our top finishers in this one, who we think are going to finish. Now let's talk about top teams in this one. Let's go. This is a hard one. 1 through 5 is hard on the girls' end. 1 through 3 is very hard. 1 through 5 is hard. It's even hard to go 1 through 10 on the girls' end because they're so close. Because like I said, kind of missing that 3, 4, 5 for some teams, or that 4, 5, or that 5 in some cases. You and I both believe Haverford School is going to pull this one out.
Haverford Township.
Haverford Township, yes.
Yes.
So we both believe Haverford Township pulls this one out, even though Agnes Irwin has the better PRs, but on faster courses. Who are you going to bring into 2 and 3 in this race?
So I'm going to go with Springfield as being your runner-up this year. And then I'm going to go with Episcopal as being 3rd. And I'll go as far as to say Notre Dame 4th and Agnes Irwin 5th.
So you're going top 5. All right, so Coach K brings out a top 5. I guess I will do the same thing. All right, number 1 right now is Haverford Township, in my opinion. I think it's actually closer than a lot of people think. I think Agnes Irwin does have a chance at this. I think Notre Dame does have a chance at this. But once again, you're missing those top 5. You're missing that 4 or 5 sometimes. Those are the ones that are holding us back a little bit. I think Episcopal is also a very strong team. Going top 5 right now, I would have to say Haverford Township is going to finish 1st. I think Agnes Irwin is going to surprise a lot of people going 2nd.
Wow.
I've been on their bandwagon a lot since week 1, since I misplaced them week 1. I think they heard about it early. So I'm going Agnes Irwin 2nd. I will go Springfield as the 3rd overall team. I think they have a lot to fight for this weekend. I will have Notre Dame at 4th, and I will put the team from Episcopal Academy at 5th in this one. Kendra Williamson is a star. Hannah Todd is a future star. She's only a freshman, going 21.06 already. They have Anna Bradford as well, but they're really missing that 4-5 right now. For Joey, I mentioned Joy Yang. She's got to bring it up a little bit more for Episcopal. That's why I have them in 5. Springfield, you have Sophia Curtis and Anastasia Milana, who clearly are 2 tough competitors. They also still have Sarah Emk, Michaela Corcoran, Lizzie, and I'm sorry, that's going to be a name I'm going to butcher, so I apologize, Coach Logan. I will not be able to pronounce Lizzie's last name. It's Greek. I apologize. And Darsana Bata, who also had a great race last week at 21.01. These girls are really getting their legs under them now. I am still impressed by Springfield, but that team from Notre Dame still impressed me too. Mary Rosano's still there. Carson Tierney's still there. Kara Sweeney's still there. All ranked within the top 17.
Wow. Now, Coach, in Mile Split's rankings, where would they put the team from Marple Newtown?
So the team from Marble Newtown, they sit at 7th right now. And once again, that's a tough one for me. Like I said, it's hard to pick a top 10 in this. Marble Newtown has a dynamic duo. I've mentioned them a lot. Allie Pavone and Lizzie Getz. Both ranked within the top 18 right now. Lizzie Getz loves DELCO Championships. As you could tell, she was 6th last year. Right. Allie Pavone was 11th last year. Again, another top competitor in Delaware County. Maybe an off-season, but also Coach Butler does a good job of getting them ready for big meets like DELCO Championships, like Central League Championships, like District 1 Championships. I'm sure he's going to get them excited for this upcoming weekend. Another team that could definitely make it within that top 5.
So, yeah, I'm going to pick them as a team to watch. Definitely a team to watch.
And definitely there, once again, I mentioned before, and I mentioned just in the recent podcast, it's that 4 or 5 that you really have to look at, sometimes even number 3 here. But if they're able to push with each other, I mean, they are ranked right around each other as their 3, 4, 5. If they're able to make ground and pass groups of people at a time with the 3 of them, they could definitely be a team to watch this week. My team to watch has actually been Ridley all season.
Okay.
And it's been a very surprising to say this. Their top 2 are Cecilia Kane and Joy Anawachi. They've been their top 2 all season. Cecilia Kane has had a stellar freshman year. But Brooke Schmidt, who would have been their number 5 runner, was only about 15 seconds off of Springfield's number 5 runner.
Wow.
At the meet at Belmont Plateau. That would be the Briarwood Invitational.
There you go.
They were only 15 seconds off each other. That alone impressed me. They sit at about 22.05 average with a 1 through 5 split of 126. So I would not be surprised if Ridley is a team to watch, specifically in this one, and sneaks in that top 5.
Yeah, that would be exciting. That would be exciting.
So we have a lot of action coming into DELCO Championships this week. I'm excited to get to Rose Tree Park on Saturday. I know a lot of you are as well. This is definitely a longer podcast going in, being that it is DELCO Championships week. It is still September. We're excited for our race legs to finally get under us, specifically in Delaware County, see where those 1, 2 legs go, but also see where 3, 4, 5 legs go. DELCOs is the way to start it. It's the way to start championship season, especially with a fast course ahead in Paul Short next week. Some people running that tough course at Silanzianum next week as well. Kay, any final thoughts going into DELCO Championships?
Just want to send out best wishes to all the competitors at DELCO Championships, and I hope it's a great race for you and one that you remember for the rest of your life.
Yeah, best of luck to all those teams competing this week. As always, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That's DelcoXCPod. Send me an email, delcoxc@gmail.com. You can correct me all you want on this podcast. I've already fact-checked myself a few times on this one. Make sure you give us a 5-star review. Leave a comment. It really does help with the algorithm. It really does give us a boost. And all of your support is greatly appreciated. Enjoy DELCO Championships this week. It's going to be a good one to watch. I can't wait to be there and support all of the great teams in Delaware County. Make sure you get up those hills this week, get your rest, and make sure you move.